We're also joined by Air Marshal retired Masood Akhtar speaking to us from Islamabad. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Mr. Akhtar, how can India be held accountable for decades of oppression, murdering over 400 Kashmiri civilians since the 5th of August 2019 and crushing curfews, destroying the valley's economy and people's livelihood?
Valid question, but of course the answer will be longish. I'll try to make it very brief. India has made the mistake of their lifetime. At the strategic chessboard, they have brought all options open on Kashmir issue. In fact, right now, they wanted to make it a bilateral issue. By annulling the 35A and 370, they've internationalized it or made it multilateral. So the net result, there is pressure from America, there is pressure from Saudi Arabia, pressure from UAE, and that is why they ended up talking to Pakistan in the back channel dialogue. All that Pakistan needs to do is do a few things. Number one, have a very, very clear policy on Pakistan, on Kashmir, a maximalist policy of plebiscite and minimalist, where we can ensure rights for all Kashmiris across the border. Minimalist is that they should be able to, around the 4 points, somewhere that demilitarized, give autonomy, joint management, open the borders, and of course, annul 35A and 370. Simultaneously make Kashmir a model for the entire world. That is our part of Kashmir. But most important, our foreign policy exterior maneuver must improve. But even more important, for God's sake, our Kashmir Committee chairman, who has always been appointed for political expediency, should be done actually to make a lot of noise, because our cause is just, it is fair, it is there on the UN Security Council agenda, despite the fact they may be able to, India may have been able to rub our nose on FATF and some other minor issues, but here is a big opportunity that we must cash on by making a lot of noise abroad, everywhere, by exploiting the Kashmiri diaspora across the world who are keen to do this and who have the capability.
Mr. Akhtar, now the occupied valley is under military siege for the last 2 years. Is there a military solution to the Kashmir crisis?
No, we have tried that a number of times in the past. We look at 65, look at Kargil, we could not succeed. Today, India cannot apply its full military power against Pakistan for one very simple reason. The powers that we will not let them do that. They tried a number of times in the backdrop of the Parliament attack, then Bombay attacks, and America did not let them do that. So the total war military power application for, let's say, 20 days is out of question. They tried the surgical strike in the backdrop of false flag operations, the Balakot strike, and in case of the Balakot strike, they tried their last option of air power, and we re-established political and military deterrence in broad daylight versus their attack at night. So they are not going to try this. And please understand, if they want to fight a war in Kashmir, which is a small area, on ground and a small air area above the ground, they take in five of their best corps, because they cannot employ anything more than that because there is not enough space. They bring in 5 squadrons. We can do exactly the same thing, and we can stand our ground. Air power has stood its ground. Ground military power, army has stood its ground. They could not do anything. So military solution is out of sight. But diplomatic solution, now that there is pressure from the powers that be, I think we have a chance, provided we get our house in order, number one. Number two, we have the right policy. 3, we have the correct policies at home, put our house in order. I think we can make ground.
Mr. Akhtar, now the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stopped after the annexation of the occupied valley. He has been vigorously seeking to change the demography and is now seeking to delimitation in occupied Jammu and Kashmir, despite the opposition from all political parties in the disputed region. What could be the possible consequences if Modi manages to redraw electoral lines in the occupied territory?
Number one, he will not be able to do that. Please remember, Air Vice Marshal Kapil Kak, who is a navigator from the Indian Air Force, retired and he's a pundit from the valley. He says the 370 annulment and 35A reading down, it is akin to someone jumping out of a multi-storied window, and as he or she is falling, every story he says, so far so good. So what he has done has not truly worked. The two political parties that and others that he really bitterly criticized as dynastic and corrupt, they won the District Development Council elections hands down against the BJP. In fact, Muslim Conference made some headway in Jammu also. So he was constrained to call them for a dialogue because he thinks that what he was wanting to achieve with this political project, he's not been able to achieve. He's not been able to create a King's Party. There is insurgency or militancy that is continuing unabated. There is a spike in military recruitment, militancy recruitment, and of course, the economic investment that he thought will come has not come at all. So he called these people that have join us for delimitation, join us for election, then he can think of restoring statehood. He's got a bargaining chip over there because statehood number 1, 370 number 2, 35A number 3, and union that is getting Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir back into one. So he has got these four bargaining chips to bargain on. But he has lost the political project that he set forth because people, especially in the valley, are not ready to listen. The day he lifts the curfew, he is fearing a strong backlash, and that is when all the problem will start.
Air Marshal retired Masood Akhtar, thank you so much for speaking to Indus News.